Have you ever felt wronged, as if you were fighting against a ruthless system that doesn't respect who you are or what you value? Now imagine a woman who, in the face of unimaginable brutality, decided to stand up and fight against the most powerful empire in the world. In today's video, we'll explore Boudica'S Revolt, the courage of the queen who defied Rome. Discover how Boudica, a mother and leader, turned pain and oppression into an epic battle for freedom. If you've ever felt powerless, prepare to find inspiration in her story of resilience and determination. Join us and see how Boudica'S courage can inspire all of us to face our own challenges. And let's start our video journey, but first make sure you're already subscribed to our channel, because on this channel I'll be bringing you a series of stories full of advice and wisdom every day, and I'm sure you won't want to miss a single video. Imagine a time long ago, when ancient Britannia was a place of warring tribes and vast wild landscapes. Against this backdrop, the Romans arrived with their disciplined legions, shining armor and flags waving in the wind. They were powerful and had a single goal: to conquer and expand their vast empire. Among the many peoples they encountered was the tribe of the Iceni, led by King Prasutago. The Iceni, a proud and independent people, initially sought peaceful coexistence with the Romans. Prasutago, the wise king, understood that cooperation could bring benefits and so accepted the Roman presence, hoping that his tribe could live in peace and prosper. However, the peace was short-lived. The Romans, always eager for control and riches, began to impose heavy taxes and interfere with local traditions. When Prasutago died, he left a will that divided his kingdom between his daughters and the Roman emperor, an attempt to protect his family and his people. But the Romans didn't respect his last wish. They saw an opportunity to take total control, and so they came in forcefully, seizing land, plundering wealth, and subjugating the Iceni. For Boudica, Prasutago's widowed queen, and her daughters, Roman cruelty reached breaking point. Roman soldiers invaded her land, beat Boudica publicly, and raped her daughters. This brutal and inhumane act was an attempt to show power and intimidate, but it ended up igniting anger and the desire for revenge. The Iceni, once proud, now found themselves oppressed and humiliated. Their lands were controlled by invaders who didn't respect their traditions, and their queen and heirs had been dishonored. The pain and injustice spread throughout the tribe, uniting them in a common feeling of revolt. Roman oppression did not bring submission, but a flame of resistance that began to burn brightly. The situation of the Iceni reflected what many other tribes in Britannia were going through. The Romans, in their quest for expansion, didn't care about the rights or dignity of the conquered peoples. They saw the Britons as barbarians to be civilized by force, without recognizing their rich culture and deep connection to their ancestral lands. And so, amidst the darkness of oppression, the figure of Boudica rose. She was not only a queen, but a mother, a leader, and, above all, a warrior. The injustice she suffered not only wounded her soul, but also fueled her determination to fight the invaders. Boudica began to gather her warriors, calling for alliances with other equally oppressed tribes. She promised revenge and freedom, and her brave followers were ready to follow her lead to the end. The Roman invasion and subsequent oppression of the Iceni marked the beginning of one of the most legendary revolts in history. Boudica'S courage and the Iceni's resistance became symbols of the struggle against tyranny, showing that even in the face of a seemingly invincible enemy, the flame of freedom is never extinguished. History was about to witness the fury of a queen determined to reclaim the honor of her people and challenge the power of the world's greatest empire. Imagine yourself in ancient Britannia, where vast green fields and forests were home to various Celtic tribes. Among these tribes, the tribe of the Iceni, led by the valiant Queen Boudica, was about to rise up against Roman oppression. The pain and injustice suffered by the queen and her people would not be forgotten. Instead, they would be transformed into a powerful and indomitable force. Boudica, with her majestic posture and determined gaze, knew that the fight for freedom was her only option. Gathering her warriors, she spoke with passion and conviction, inspiring everyone to unite against the invaders. It wasn't just a battle for revenge, but a fight for the future of their children and the preservation of their culture and identity. News of Boudica'S rebellion spread quickly throughout Britannia. Other tribes, also tired of Roman domination, joined the cause. Among these tribes were the Trinovans, who, like the Iceni, had suffered at the hands of the Romans. Together, they formed a huge and determined army, ready to face their common enemy. The rebels' first major victory was at Camulodunum in present-day Colchester, where an important Roman colony was located. The Romans, surprised by the strength and fury of the Britons, were unable to defend the city. The Roman legions were defeated and the city, a symbol of Roman power, was completely destroyed. Boudica and his warriors left nothing behind, sending a clear and powerful message: the resistance had begun. The rebels' next target was Londinium, present-day London. Learning of the approach of Boudica'S army, the Romans and many of the inhabitants fled the city, but those who remained faced the wrath of the Britons. Once again, Boudica led his people with fierce determination, and Londinium was set on fire, its streets and buildings reduced to ashes. The rebels then marched to Verulamium, present-day St. Albans, where once again the Romans were outnumbered by the strength and numbers of the British warriors. Boudica'S conquests filled his people with hope and courage. Each victory was proof that even the most powerful empire in the world could be challenged and defeated. During this campaign, Boudica'S image as a warrior leader grew. Riding in her chariot, with her red hair blowing in the wind and her eyes shining with determination, she became a symbol of resistance and inspiration. For her followers, Boudica was not just a queen, but the living embodiment of the struggle for freedom. However, the Romans, led by the governor Suetonius Paulinus, were determined to strike back. Gathering their forces, they prepared for a decisive confrontation. The final battle took place on a site that many historians believe to be near Watling Street. Despite the courage and fighting spirit of the Britons, the tactical and disciplinary superiority of the Romans prevailed. The defeat was devastating for Boudica and his army. According to some sources, Boudica preferred death to capture, drinking poison to avoid being taken prisoner. The revolt was crushed, but the impact of Boudica'S resistance continued to resonate. She became an eternal symbol of the struggle against oppression and of indomitable courage. The story of Boudica, the warrior queen, is a powerful reminder that even in the face of the most crushing adversity, courage and determination can inspire generations. Her legacy endures, inspiring the fight for freedom and justice, and showing that the human spirit can never be truly subdued. On a cold, foggy morning in ancient Britannia, the air was heavy with the tension of an imminent battle. On one side, the Roman legions, disciplined and prepared, lined up in their rigid formations. On the other side, an army of British warriors, united under the inspiring leadership of Boudica. They were determined to fight to the end for their freedom and dignity. Boudica, with her long red hair blowing in the wind, was at the head of her army. Mounted on her chariot, she rode through the ranks, encouraging her warriors with words of courage and determination. Every man and woman present knew what was at stake. It wasn't just a battle for survival, but a fight for everything it meant to be British: their land, their families, their traditions. The Romans, led by Governor Suetonius Paulinus, knew that this would be a decisive battle. They had carefully chosen the battlefield, a narrow area with dense forests on both sides, limiting the British's ability to use their numerical superiority. The Roman legions, armed with short swords and large shields, were ready to face the coming turmoil. When the sun finally broke through the clouds, signaling the start of the confrontation, the British attacked with all their might. The sound of war cries and the clash of weapons resounded across the field. Boudica led the attack with unparalleled ferocity, his presence inspiring his warriors to fight even more bravely. However, despite their courage, the Romans held their formations, repelling wave after wave of attacks. The battle was fierce and relentless. The British fought with all their might and determination, but the superior discipline and tactics of the Romans began to prevail. The Roman legions, protected by their close formations, advanced relentlessly, cutting through the British ranks. The courage of Boudica and his warriors was undeniable, but against the Roman war machine, they were at a disadvantage. As the battle wore on, the British's hopes of victory began to fade. Boudica, seeing the tide turning against his people, fought with even more determination, trying to inspire his warriors to continue resisting. However, the overwhelming force of the Roman legions was impossible to stop. When the dust finally settled, the battlefield was littered with bodies, and the British had been defeated. But Boudica'S spirit could not be broken. According to some sources, she preferred death to capture, choosing poison to avoid falling into Roman hands. Her death was tragic, but her legacy was only just beginning to take shape. Boudica'S revolt may have been crushed, but her courage and determination left an indelible mark on history. She became an eternal symbol of resistance against tyranny and oppression. Boudica'S showed the world that even in the face of a powerful enemy, the fight for justice and freedom must never be abandoned. Her story continues to be told and celebrated, inspiring generations to stand up against injustice. Boudica'S legacy goes beyond the battles she fought. She has become an icon of resistance, a figure who represents the struggle for freedom and dignity. Her story is remembered not only in Britannia, but throughout the world, as an example of courage and determination. Boudica, the warrior queen, showed that even the mightiest empires can be challenged, and that the human spirit is indomitable. If you were inspired by Boudica'S incredible story and want to know more about courageous historical figures, subscribe to our channel and leave a comment below. Share your opinions and suggestions on what other stories you would like to see. Your participation is very important to us. See you next time.